Hello, hello, hello. My life. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Aradhana Tiwari from Be the Change page, the founder of Be the Change page, an Access Consciousness certified facilitator. I'm so excited. Awesome. So, thank you for joining us. And how does it get any better than this? So, Be the Change talk show, as you all know, people who are joining in new probably don't know about it. I would like to just say a few words. Be the Change talk show is inspired by a lot of magazines, by a lot of stuff that I've been reading from all my life. And I have always been inspired by people's stories, how they never give up, never give in, never quit. And that's the tagline for this talk show: never give in, never quit, and never give up. Because I just get so inspired by everybody's journey and how they followed their heart and how they are creating changes on this planet Earth, just being their weirdness, just following their heart, knowing and not trying to be like same like others and not stepping and trying to be like others. So I just kind of like literally get excited and I really honor them and I call them celebrities. For me, anybody who follows their heart is a celebrity. So I'm so grateful everybody who's joining in. Vijay, Ruchi, Umesh, hello everybody, and thank you for joining in. I am very, very excited today, and anybody who wants to be on this talk show and who has actually created this change and followed their heart are most welcome to join us on this talk show. So I'm happy to invite you. Please get in connect with my team or me, or you can leave a message on this page, and we will be happy to invite you once we've been through your profile. How does it get any better? For me, there is not no profile required. The profile is that you followed your heart and you have actually made a change on the planet Earth and in your spaces and places wherever you're living. And today I have a very, very lovely friend of me, a very dear. She's a sweetheart and she's a space whisperer. And I'm so excited to invite. So she's a one of the kind global space whisperer, Lisa Bennett, the founder of Creating Conscious Spaces, which is literally changing the world one space at a time. So Lisa Bennett, the conversation with Lisa Bennett and the scratch the surface of engaging with the energies of spaces around you. So she really, really, I have spent my like 15 days with her, but I know her for years. In person, I didn't want to leave it for a moment. I just love her because I learned so much. I didn't know the spaces and places talk so much, and they represent our lives. So I'm really, really excited and how she actually got to this space and how much changes she's creating on the planet. So I'm very excited to talk about it. So I would just invite Lisa. Welcome to this space. Can we have you here online?
Hello, hello, everyone. I'm excited. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for saying yes to this, and you know how crazy I am for you. Thank you. So I know
Aw.
much about you, and I wonder where to start. But I would really like you to start your journey and let us know. I know you've been through a lot of hardships, and surely I would. I mean, and you look so glamorous. Nobody looks at you and find that you went through anything. I mean, I so get inspired with your glamour and you whisper to everything, and I just love that. So,
Aw.
come to your journey of whispering. But I would like you to start your journey, how you actually started your life, where all you went, and how did this idea of space whispering came to you?
Well, I'll give you my shortened version. So I've always connected with spaces and played with spaces as even a little girl. I was moving furniture around and painting walls and playing with my friends' spaces, and I I was involved in studying feng shui. I studied geomancy, Vatsu. So I had a curiosity, and then interiors, interior decorating, interior design. I studied everything. And there was a point when I realized that I wasn't normal and that the way that I read spaces was different. So I could connect with a space long distance, or I could physically be in a space.
So that is
And
not called normal. That is not called normal, Lisa.
no, no. Well, in my world, it is.
You're weird. You mean you're weird?
In my world. And so when I was married, I had, I would,
Can I just sorry stop you because I'm so
yes, go for it.
wanted to know when you said that you were not normal. What made you say that you were not normal?
I was judged a lot. And what happened at I guess in my early 20s, I stopped telling people my awareness around spaces because I wanted to fit in. And that's when I really studied in interior design, interior decorating, because that was the normal, the label of that. And I didn't have a name for what I knew that every molecule of my body knew about, and how I could read spaces so easily. And it wasn't until really the latter part of my marriage when I came out, as they say, to really embrace what I knew. It was just bursting. And
Something, can you give an example of that what actually made you feel so low about it? Where did you give up that knowing of yours that you were, and where did you start feeling it was abnormal and it was normal for you?
so I left an abusive marriage that kept me controlled. And and from there, it was, for me, uh, that was sort of like giving myself permission to stop caring about what other people thought, and having that never giving up attitude. No matter what, I believed in myself, and I surrounded myself with people that believed in me. And from that, I ended up taking courses, which is where I met Aradhna. And we, I think everyone is on a journey to discover who they are. We go out into the world and we're told how to perform, how to be, how to act um, in certain environments, as a wife, as a mother, as an employee. And at some point, I realized, number one, I wasn't going to be an employee, that I was going to be an entrepreneur or solopreneur, and that I actually, my target was to inspire others to embrace their lives through their spaces. Our spaces are always a reflection of what's going on in our lives, and that's really, I guess 7, 8 years ago is when I really jumped into being confident enough to just say, I don't give a damn. And I created the Creating Conscious Spaces classes, and that, just watching how many people around the world were transformed and their lives were transformed, to me, kept me going, inspiring. And there were absolutely moments when I would cry and huddle and wonder, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Does this even make sense? Because I'd have people say, I don't get it.
I would really like you to go because knowing your story, I mean, and just making you more vulnerable about it. So I know your life story. So it's like you went
Mm,
through really, really high. You lived a very, very lavish, luxurious life during your
yeah,
marriage, and you were having the ball of your time, and you was enjoying, you were partying, you were like the person. So how
I
can
never,
can
I
you talk?
never thought about money in the way that, I never imagined that I had to worry about money, because it was there, and we traveled. We had a beautiful home. It was a big estate home, and it had, all the amenities. It had a tennis court and a swimming pool, and yes, lots of lavish parties, and it was fun. There was lots of fun times for sure. And then one day the carpet literally got pulled out from under me, and as many men or women find themselves one day at the other end of a divorce. And it was not a nice divorce. It was a very long, extended divorce. And in that process, I went from feeling what I thought was confident to becoming um, very unsure of myself. And what did I think people ask that question, what do I have to offer the world? Who am I? And it's the imposter syndrome. You believe that, is what I say, or is what I do, or is what I share with the world of any value? And we all, at some point, I think, go through that, right? And when we come out of that and say, absolutely, and you have someone, it's just that one person's world who you'd maybe inspire or change, and you start to turn these little light bulbs on in people's lives. And for me, it was always through spaces. And as those light bulbs started to go off in different countries and different languages, I just got more and more inspired to keep going, to keep going, to keep going, and build a successful business from
Because
this.
yeah, I wanted to know this where you were here.
I was here.
So from here, then you came to here. So can you say a little there that your emotions you went through and what actually you never gave up? Like what came through you and what was that?
So what I discovered is the money was a tool in my marriage, and it also turned into a bit of a weapon as far as negotiation, creating fear around lack in my life, and wondering if I was going to able to, if I had this belief that I couldn't create on my own, that I had to be with this individual, and without that person, I was nothing. That was the beginning of the journey, and then as one does, we unravel all of that old belief system, all those old paradigms and judgments around yourself. You suddenly realize, wait a minute, there is value. There is there's a lot that we can contribute to the world, and there is a way to create money, and it might not be the way that the partner created money, but there's absolutely a way. And as soon as I sort of started to really receive myself for me and not try and be somebody else, that's, I think, the number one thing is stop trying to be someone else, and always go back to what makes you joyful and happy. And truly, when you do that, everything else just unfolds, and that's when the money started to flow.
So you mean
And
money, you didn't have money, you didn't die?
no,
No. And
absolutely not.
you created a business, like such a big business for yourself, and money.
You know, it's so funny because initially I thought my classes, the Creating Conscious Spaces classes, that I would teach them in certain countries. That was my belief, that I had to teach them in certain countries. And then I had people from different countries calling me, as in India. I never even imagined that I'd go to India. It wasn't even in my radar. And then out of nowhere, you know, we connect, and you said, I want to host you in India. And I was like, oh, and it literally was following the energy, and everything around going to India was so exciting and so fun and so playful. And we had an incredible time. I'm still buzzing about it. And it was so lovely. And it absolutely, looking back on it, it absolutely made sense, because in India, people get spaces. People get spaces. Even in China, when I was there in January, they hosted me, and they've been wanting me to come for 2 years. And it was so cool because they get spaces. It's part of the culture. Whereas in North America, it was almost like it was years ago, 20 years ago, talking about spaces. It was sort of a hard sell, as they say. Whereas the less that I tried to push, the more that I just went with, everything in my world opened up, and my classes have been translated now into 11 different languages.
Wow. Wow.
And I never anticipated that would be all from an idea. So the never giving up, don't. No matter how random an idea it is. Yeah.
So I totally get that, the space of that, you just feel that you're dying and everything is going to finish and everything's finished. But some people do give up. And that's the whole idea of this Be the Change talk show that, that
Yeah.
nothing happens in our life without a reason and a value, because probably you had not moved out of that luxurious life of you would have never created this space whispering for us. Right.
Right. And for any of my fellow female or male friends who find themselves at the end of, they believe their end of their life, because when my divorce happened, I felt humiliated and sad and lost, and all of a sudden your partner's gone, and it's like cutting off an arm. It at the time it felt like that, and I know you've gone through your not your ex, but your husband who passed away, and and so there's all this grief that comes up, grief of what you believed your life was going to look like, etc. And then at the end of the day, I realized my life is what I create. And what do you want to create? Do you want to create joy? Do you want to create fun? Do you want to create travel? And so I made a list. And I made a list. I did that with my future space. And Aradhana knows that I went through a near death. I threw that one in there, almost died. And I brought in a lot of drama and different things into my life, and then I made a list and said, this is the home that I'd like to be in. This is the space that I'd like to be in. This is the life that I'd like to create. And I wrote it all out, not knowing that the Creating Conscious Spaces class hadn't even been birthed. And fast forward, if you had told me you're going to be traveling around the world, you're going to be teaching classes, they're going to be translated into 11 languages, you're going to have a radio show, which I've had online now for six and a half years, every Friday. That's a commitment. That's a marriage, 6.5 years, and on and on and on and on. And I got invited to go speak at Harvard.
Wow.
Like Aradhana, like if you know me,
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't I didn't even write that down. I just wrote speaking. I didn't know where, so I wasn't specific, just everyone out there, you write it out. And it's like almost, I know they call them vision boards or inspiration boards, but you just write out. I wrote a sort of a note or a list to myself of all the things that I really desired. Book, co-author in a book. I mean, you just keep going.
Just notice, you just have to write down your stuff, the life you truly desire, not what you don't have, but what you have. You would desire. It's just that simple, right? And then thank you for that.
Yeah.
Lisa. That really makes so much of sense. That you just like put it out in the universe there that I desire this, and you have been.
Put it out there. Like it's like I always, at whatever time, and the other thing that I wanted to share with people is there's a beautiful word, and it's the energy behind the word of surrender. That there are definitely moments when I would sit in my home and cry and wonder, why am I here? And have a conversation with myself and the universe. And it was the ugly, teary cry. And then, you pick yourself up and say, okay, well, so what is it that you want to create? And literally do this every month. Make a list. And it's like placing an order. Like the menu is as large as you'd like it to be. So place your order out to the universe, because the universe is listening, and the universe so wants to create with you, and so wants to work with you, and so wants to gift you the abundance that this world has. And I do that with spaces. What would I desire with the places and spaces that I want to visit or live in? And right now I'm you can see the sun's rising. I'm in this beautiful off of Vancouver Island. It's gorgeous here.
That's so amazing. I'm having it, Lisa.
Yeah.
So what else is possible? So when you say space whispering, and you always had that thing that you could talk to the molecules, and I've been with you. I just wanted to know, everybody know what do you mean by space whispering? How do you get it? What is that sense? If you can talk about it.
Okay, so for for space whispering is literally the spaces that we are all in send us information. And if you are someone that's looking for a relationship, for example, your space can either be a block to a future relationship, or it could be an invitation. And so it's how you change the energy within your space, which also this is a secret, everyone. Not only do you change the energy in your space, but it actually changes the way that you yourself function within your space. And it's like a reprogramming or a reboot on a computer for you. And we have to get out of the old, not that you have to, but if you really want to change things, my way or my way of facilitating is you've got to take action within your space, because you can take a million courses and say, I've taken this course and I've taken this course and I'm this person and I'm that person. But if you're not willing to actually connect with the space that you're in and shift things within your space, you're going to create the same shit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you move to or live. People become habitual, and they do that in their spaces. They will set up their spaces in a certain way, and then they're going to wonder, I don't have a relationship, or money's not coming in, or I'm always fighting with my husband or wife. And your space will reflect that. So if you're not willing to change how you create or call in a space, then you're going to just create the same. And it doesn't matter how many courses you take. It's you've got to be willing to start. The foundation of your everything is in the space. And it's like a chiropractor with the spine. They believe that the spine is without having connection with your spine, it's going to affect everything else. Your spine is what holds your body up, right? So if you talk to a foot doctor, they talk about feet. Without your feet, you're not, there's so my way of communicating with people is through spaces. And there are many people that say, I don't see. And so that's where the action, moving things, shifting things, physically touching things, then people say, oh, I had no idea. And as soon as that light bulb goes on for people, it's like, oh my God, then everything shifts, everything changes. It's fabulous.
So how do you compare? I mean, I know there's no comparison, but still, like, how do you rate it to Vastu, Feng Shui? So are these like disbeliefs? Is it that you walk into a house and then you're like, okay, how in India especially we do that, or you came into this house, everything went away, everything wasn't good, and certain people in the house would believe that point of view and others won't. And because in the modern world, we are like, hey guys, we don't even agree with this. So can you talk a
Okay.
little?
Yeah. So, I mean, I embrace all practices. So there isn't one practice that I follow. I became a feng shui master because at the time that was the closest modality, art form that I could explain myself what I was doing with spaces. And people at the time, it was like the go-to, it was the trend, it was cool to say, oh yeah, feng shui master, and I go in and hang crystals and do all these things. But at the end of the day, what I realized is feng shui has a set of rules. If you do this, this is the outcome. And so people were attached to the crystal or attached to the rules. And in Vatsu, it's all about directional and down to like millimeters of how to place a home. And again, it was based on rules. And I realized that I'm not a rule maker, I'm a rule breaker. And I couldn't put myself or my clients into a box. And everybody, if I said, you hang a crystal here, this is going to create this, and then I walk into somebody else's space and it's like, no, it's actually, it's not wrong. It's just that everybody is completely different. And you have to be willing to connect with what's going on with that individual in their life. And that not everybody has the gift of starting with raw land and building their home right up to the millimeter of exactly what direction their home has to face in order to maximize the best possible relationship or money or health. And so with the way the world is created, you go into a city like Mumbai or Bangalore or New Delhi or Chandigarh, and you've got apartments and you've got houses, and they're there, you move in and you've got what you've got. So how do you manipulate and work with the energy within the space that's going to maximize what the people in the space are looking for? And so that's, to me, it's a sort of, it's a step beyond. It's not dishonoring what they might have created and whatever their belief systems are, but the space whispering that I practice is actually showing people, not only can you include this, but let's take it to another level so that you can actually include everything that's going on. And it's, to me, it feels kinder. It's a softer energy from me. But then sometimes, as Aradhana knows, I'm a little bit, I get to the point and say, look, if you really want to change things, then you've got to be willing to let go of whatever that is that you're holding on to. And it could be physical clutter, it could be emotional clutter, it could be, so there's different layers within it. And that's what's exciting for me. There's no two spaces that are ever the same.
Yeah, so I remember learning with you when you were around that how you could actually look at the houses and spaces and you could pick up the personal lives of the people. And
Mhm.
it's amazing that how you could like sense it, that's going on in the house and that's going on with the couple or the relationship. But the same house might be having a different people coming and living in that. So maybe I'm living now and maybe I leave this house, somebody else comes and lives in. So it's not about the house, is it about the people? What do you
It's both, actually. So if you bought a home that the couple always fought in, so spaces have, if you can imagine, layers of sort of emotional wallpaper on the walls. And so it takes on the energy of the previous occupants. And so what can occur is if that energy just is kind of piled up over the years and different people have lived in a space, and you're going to find it's actually, it's studied in different pockets, different communities where people have died in a certain community, um, and or they've gotten cancer. And what happens is, after studying it, they look at what's going on with the earth's vibration within that, what's disrupting people's health in their bodies. And so it translates into the space, that every time somebody new comes in, it becomes that sort of cyclical energy. So our spaces are like I call them like a holding, they can hold on to old. So when an aware person moves into the space, they're the ones that can actually manipulate, shift, and change the energy. And there could be somebody that moves into an area and everybody else has died consistently. And then all of a sudden somebody new moves in and they've shifted and manipulated the energy and changed it. And then they're there for 20 years and they're healthy and they're fine. So, and people go, well, what happened? Well, an aware person moved into the space and they were willing to shift and change and um, perhaps they cleared the energy, perhaps they changed a structure within the energy. Maybe they were aware of what was going on vibrationally within the earth, and they might have shifted where their bedroom was located. So there's lots of different ways that you can play, and it's never one thing. And so that's where the whispering comes into play. It's having an awareness of what goes on within a space. And so, like I said, it's like wallpaper. And if there was arguments, if there was unease with the health, if there was something going on within a space historically over the years, you have to have an awareness and educate yourself. And for me, I know, Aradhana knows, I never have to physically ever walk into a space to know that there's something going on. I just have this, you can call it psychic, you can call it a gift. It's a download of information. It comes really quickly to me, and I'm 99% spot on about what's going on with somebody. And initially they might be like, no, everything's fine. And then they go, well, actually, no, nothing is. It doesn't matter how perfect your house looks to the average person that walks in. I can still smell the shit. Like I can still, like it's energetic, by the way, not, but I can find, I call it like the bullshit meter. I can see when somebody's not giving me the full rundown about what's going on in their relationship or their life or their business or their health. It's amazing how many people choose to hide within their space and use their space as a place to dismiss what's truly going on. And once we can unravel it and say, look, it's okay, let it go, let whatever go. Be willing to be seen, be willing to be heard, be willing to be stepping into something that isn't actually you. And that's what I find if you have somebody that comes in and you hire a designer to come in and do your home. There's aware designers, people that are aware of what would be a contribution for you, and where designers come in and they turn it into a showcase of their work, but it doesn't actually connect the individual family with the space. So
with your this thing of things, you don't have to really break through, and like, Vastu will make you break the walls. Feng Shui will make you to, keep the stuff. So does this space whispering also kind of leads you to do all that stuff? Like,
oh yeah, it's inclusive. Everything's inclusive, and that's really the gift of anyone that's ever had a class with me. It's not as simple as, hey, let's just do this. When I was traveling and facilitating classes in person, we had the intro 2-day class of creating conscious spaces, and then we had the advanced 2-day class so the 2-day intro was all about you unraveling your stuff, like what created what you've created in your life. And then the sort of second part of that is getting into really deep diving into having you not only see your space, but other people's spaces. And then finally, I launched my first facilitator class in China in January, which was a 3-day class where everybody was doing work with everyone else's space. And so I would sit back and be there to support and watch them all interact. It was so cool. It was hands-on. And then, of course, COVID happened. Yay. And so now the classes that I'm doing a class coming up, how to create more money from your home office. And it's not what you would think about. It's physically working with your home office, your space, so that whatever business you have, if you're not traveling with your business, it's what can you create from your home that's going to add to whatever business you're in. And it's like that new pivot. And so showing how your spaces can pivot with you, you've got to be willing to pivot. If you're not willing to pivot, that's where you create challenges in business. And Aradhana knows, she's like, okay, I've watched her, she's pivoted and she's done an amazing job, and she's a creator, man.
I'm grateful that you do all this. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've learned so
Yeah.
much in 15 days, I remember. And I always tell that to the world. And I'm so grateful.
Mhm.
I didn't want to leave her for a moment. She's traveling, I'll travel with you. I'll do everything with you. So
Oh my God. It was so fun.
yeah.
We and you know, there were some really cool things that got created while we were traveling. And, you know, I just said, hey, we'll make it work. And that's another radio show.
How does it get any better? So I
Yeah.
just wanted to ask another question, Lisa, was like people think they're not naturally born with what you were not naturally born as a faith whisperer. So what do you say about that? How would people who get into your classes? Yeah.
Bullshit. Bullshit is the word I'm going to use. Um, if you go to kindergarten and watch these little children create, they sit down with a pen and paper or markers and crayons and they draw. Kids are fast. They know, they get it. And we all have that little inner child within us that truly does know what lights us up. And my job is to show you how you can communicate with your space. And it's not difficult, it's not challenging. It's as simple as a little child drawing with their crayons on a piece of paper. And so I get you out of all that sort of getting out of thinking too much and getting into the sense, the feel, the meditation with your space. And I communicate with my space, or wherever I'm traveling to, I communicate with the space before I've even gotten there and when I get there. Uh, and so it's that whisper. If you are starting to get tuned in to the whisper of your space, then that's really sort of the beginning of you listening. It's not complaining. So if your sink is your tap is leaking or dripping, your space is talking to you.
Wow.
And if there's a crack in the foundation, or there's mice coming in, or you know, there's a leak in the ceiling, your space is talking to you. And it's learning what's the language, what is your space saying to you. And when you start to discern what it is and really get a sense of that, then you're going to start to be grateful for your space and not judge it. Because most people, they wake up and they start to think about all the things that are wrong with their space, everything they need to fix. Uh, and if they're having a dinner party, they start to hide things in cupboards, and they don't want people to see this and that, and they don't want people to judge their space. And yet, with me, if I was walking, and Radna knows this, if I walked into your home, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around and I'm going to snoop. I'm going to open up cupboards and I'm going to open up drawers, because that people pay me to snoop. How cool is that? And I loved snooping when I was a kid.
Oh my God. Oh my God. See, that's what I always say, that you always get signal in your childhood. What you
Yeah.
The capacity is there from your childhood, guys. So you just have to kind of acknowledge that about you. So when you say,
Yeah.
and that is so amazing when you say that, Lisa, that you're walking the house, your ceilings are leaking, or there's a termite in your house. So everything is actually so showing, and which I also noticed with you, and I learned with you so much, that everything about your house is talking to you and is giving you some
Mhm.
information. It's not that your house is crackling up. It's not that things that it's about your personal life that is going on in your life. I totally get that sense, and I've really learned that a lot from you. And I can see people's houses now, and I can say what's going on. It's like so.
Yeah.
But could you like to just little few examples, like you said? So for you, what does a leaking mean? What does it? I mean, few tips for people like who probably get excited to know, and then they can go and look at the houses and what the information is all about.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. I was teaching. I went to Belgium, and I had rented an Airbnb, a large Airbnb for the class. Everybody was going to stay. So it was sort of a stay and play. And it was cool because then the students got a chance to see how to play in a space. So it was sort of a class plus. It was a bonus, you know, to be able to stay and play and talk about spaces 24/7. And so we walked into, myself and the host, we walked in before the students, thank goodness. And I walked in and there was mold. There was mold in the ceiling and coming down the walls. And it had a really, really intense smell. And I literally said to the host, I said, well, we can't be here. And they were like, oh my God, where are we going to go? And I said, well, that's okay. There's a place that'll show up for us. And I talked to the gentleman who had rented the space for us. And I said, no, this isn't going to work. And he was defensive. And when he came to the site, I started to talk to him. I basically gave him a free consultation. And I said, so tell me what's going on in your life. And he's like, well, you know, I've got all these places. And he was very stressed, very high strung. And I said, when was the last time you actually started to look at what's going on with this space? And he said, oh, I just don't have time. I said, you've got to make time, because every time you're going to have someone like me walk in and not rent it, you're taking time away from when you can actually look at what it is. Like he was so panicked about money. And what he wasn't acknowledging is that his space was saying, if you're not going to address it, I'm going to keep making it look worse and worse and worse and worse. And often what was underlying for him it was all about money, and he was concerned about money. And yet he wasn't really looking at, he was creating, the more that I mean, you've heard this, the more you resist of something and you deny it, the more it's going to create. And so I was one of many people that said that it wasn't fit to live in, basically, because the smell was so intense, and it was black mold. So it was highly toxic. I said, no, this is not even livable for anyone. And at that point, he closed it. Like he really listened to me. And at that point, he closed it down. And then you knew that he was going to take action to repair. If he chose not to, he's going to create more and more and more and more. And then it would literally translate into every other area of his life. And that's the whispering of spaces. And it's always about what's really the underlying element for that individual. So you'll see surface things in a house, a crack, a leaky faucet, but there's always something that's going on underneath that. And it often is around money. When it comes to repairing, people decide that it'll be too expensive. As soon as they've decided it's going to be too expensive, the first person that comes in and gives them a quote is going to say, yeah, it's $20,000. And they're like, see, I can't do it. And the house goes, yeah, you can't. We're going to make it more expensive because you keep saying you can't. And so it becomes this whole cycle, as opposed to being really kind of like, oh, wow, thank you. And talking to your space and saying, thank you so much for letting me know. Okay, so what's it going to take to shift this, change this? And you might have somebody that comes in and says, oh, I can repair that ceiling, or I can go up on the roof. I used to be a roofer when I was a kid. I'll do it for you for fun. Like, you get me and all of a sudden the people will show up that want to contribute to your space. And it's just shifting. You've got to be shifting. And there's so many people out there that judge their spaces. Oh.
I learned from you, Lisa, and I'll give you the example of, like, I wanted to share with you guys. Like, every time, the moment my house needed to repair, and I'm, wow, all right. I said, hey, house, can you show up with the money? And can you send me money to repair you? And it took a week when I had the money in my hand.
Yeah.
When the money comes in, I'm like, okay, I do this. And my house is, hey, girl, I created this money for my repair. I said, here you go. That was so simple.
It is. And Aradhana, you're a creator. And that's the gift. Uh, you watch Aradhna and how she creates, and not to say she doesn't have her emotional moments where she hasn't cried. We've all done it. She's willing though to say, okay, she might have her 10-minute cry, which, you know, it's a release, and then it's like, pick yourself up and go, okay, you know what, life is actually really awesome, and there's so many cool things going on. And that, to me, the gift of COVID right now is that everybody in the world, it's not just a country or a city, everybody in the world has had to have their moment in their space 24/7. And you can't hide from your shit, because your space is like a mirror. It's a reflection of what's going on in your life. So if you're the person that's deny that this is a problem, this is a problem, your space is going to amplify it and turn it up and turn it up and turn it up until you're really willing to say, oh my God, I got to deal with whatever it is that they're there. And so your space is a gift for every one of you. And even the people that say, but my space is so small and it's not big enough and it's not this. I've watched people create multi-million-dollar businesses from a closet. So don't tell me your space is too small.
I am with you on that for sure, Lisa.
Yeah.
I mean, I love your. I can, you know how much I can listen. I love you all. I invite you, and I'm like, here every time I listen, something new opens up in my world, and I think it's,
Oh.
thank you so much. I just so the whole page is around Be the Change page. So if
Mm-hmm.
you be the change, the world changes, and everything around you changes. So what? How would you converse that around? So what does the Be the Change whispers you? So what is that for the world?
So somewhere in my journey of creating these classes was the energy of, literally, as I was traveling and facilitating classes in different, like in Brazil and in France and in China, in India, in Vienna, like different language. Oh, incredible. But the one thing that I acknowledged with every individual in the world is that our bodies require a space to lie down in at night and be nurtured. And it doesn't matter the size. It just matters that your body has a place to go. And I know that there are people out there that choose to live on the street or, hey, cool. We still require a space, even if it's on the floor or on a sidewalk or in a park and so what I realized is that my purpose, my mission, my love for sharing with the world is that we can change the world one space at a time. And that's really become sort of my tagline, my mantra, with my business. It's lit things up. And for me, I'm so aware of how we can all, especially now, and I will make sure I get you this link. I forgot to give this to you. I have an event that I've been doing that's been free, that I started in March. Didn't know what it was going to look like. Again, no big plan, but I knew that from my heart, I wanted to put it out there into the world. Changing the world one space at a time became this worldwide event, translated into 11 different languages. And every translator has come forward and said, I'd like to be a part of this. And they're all volunteering themselves. And literally, it's like a meditation with your space. So no matter what's going on in your world, your country, your city, your village, your street, your community, your space can be that little pebble of change in the world. So when people say, what can I possibly do for my space? You can do a hell of a lot from your space. You can yourself change the energy around you and your space. And from there, you're going to be able to change your friends, your family, your neighbors, the co-workers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this event has grown into thousands of people showing up every month to just spend an hour with me and get this amazing contribution for their space. And I never really know. I don't plan it. I don't sit down and make notes. I go with the energy of what's going on around the world. And then from there, it just translates into everyone's spaces. So that's been my gift. That's kind of continued to grow. So
I
heal
love
the world. Yeah, heal the world one space at a time. So I'll make sure you get the link for the next event.
your, that'll be amazing, guys. So
Yeah.
I love the way you say, you know, at least your body covers a space. And if you're being in that space, you change it. So can you give one thing that you really think one can change in that little space as much as the size of your body? What?
Wow. So I'll give you an example. So for example, you have someone that's being diagnosed with a terminal disease, and they have come to the conclusion, because the doctors have told them that you have a year to live or 6 months to live and go home, and there's nothing we can do. So listen to this. The doctors say there's nothing they can do, but it's your body, which is your home.
Yes.
And it's like, I come into your home, Aradhna, and I'm going to tell you how to function in your home. That's what doctors do. And that's what they're trained to do, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. But at some point, you have to take that awareness that, oh, wait a minute, it's my home, it's my body,
I love my body's my home.
right?
Your home, yeah.
Stop judging your home. Stop that. That's the worst disease ever. And go into loving your body and loving your home. And so the very first thing I do, and I've told this over the years, is when I wake up in the morning, I literally give myself this beautiful energetic hug and say, good morning, beautiful. And if you're a man, you can say, good morning, handsome. But you know, it's like, just, and so you know, and people kind of giggle and laugh, and I go, no, it's actually like, think of the energy, like you're laughing, you're smiling, right? That's a beautiful way to wake up with yourself in the morning. It doesn't matter if you have someone else in bed with you. The first person you're going to hug is your home, your body, and say, good morning, beautiful. Like, oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful for everything. And to be here, to be in this body, to be so alive, to be able to see the sunrise, to, like, there's so much to be grateful for in this world. Everything else is just, you know, the extras on the cake. But the cake, the essence of everything is you and your beautiful bodies, and love them. And anyone that doesn't love them, they're not a person you want to have in your universe anyway. So bye-bye. Like, love up your body, love up the body of your home, because without this, you're not here. And then the bed that you're lying on, make sure you're flowing this beautiful, grateful, loving energy to that mattress, that bed. And everything else, you've set the stage for a magnificent day.
Just so loving. I'm already in that zone, Lisa. I'm like, ooh, you made
Yeah.
me like, wow. I so love this talk show. I so love you all. Like, it's like
Ah,
gems, you know. And I'm so grateful that you guys, you know, finally followed your heart, never gave up, never given quit. And had you been not, who would have come and told me this? Like, you know, your body is your home, and you can love yourself, you can be kind. I love these talks. I like
mhm.
love having more of them. So Thank you so much for all of this. And anything you would like to share, people? Though we have shared all your connects, where all your links where people can connect with you. So anything else you would like to invite people to your work or wherever space?
Yeah, so I'm launching this new course, and it was really from the space of what were people requiring, having been in their homes, and it was how to create more money from your home office is a new course. It's online, and it's in its what I would call the beta form, meaning a new course with new content, and it's continuously going to be expanding and growing. And so we have at an introductory low price, and this will have everyone having the ability to connect with me in a private Facebook group once a week, where we'll do a quick Zoom and connect with what's going on in your space, wherever you are in the world, even if you're in a temporary space. And doesn't matter. You don't have to wait for COVID to be over to create. You don't have to wait. Like, don't do that. Wherever you are, guys, this is the time to have a lot of fun with what people are waiting for from you, because the greatest abuse is you not sharing your knowledge and your love with the world, whatever that is. It could be photography, it could be filmmaking, it could be copywriting, it could be helping people get books off the ground, it could be radio, there's so many different platforms, and we're all connected. It doesn't matter where you live or what you have or what you perceive you don't have. Everything that you have to create is within. And so what's the space that that's going to support your business going forward? Because you get that in place, oh my God, the world opens up.
Thank you so much. And what would you like to say to my space of Be the Change page?
Oh,
what is, can I have that too? Now you're here.
For your space?
Yeah, for Be the Change, the Facebook page. I think it has its own space where the talk
It has its own space. So the greatest contribution that everyone that is within this group can be for each other is to be cheerleaders. We don't need people judging or putting other people down, because the moment you do that, you're actually, again, think of it as a mirror. You're actually reflecting more towards yourself that's going to take down, destroy, unravel more in your life. So stop doing that and start emitting this joy and gratitude and support towards the community. And you don't have to know the people. Just the more you can give of yourself, of your gifts to the world, the greater the return. And you will never know how it shows up, but I promise you, people will find you. And when you think that there's no one that hears you or sees you, the more that you keep putting out there in support and love and gratitude, I truly know from myself, the more that I've done that, the greater the return has been in my world. So within your Be the Change community, be the change.
Be the Change.
Don't wait. Get out there and start doing it.
Yeah. So much. It was so beautiful, Lisa. Thank you for choosing it. Big huggy to you.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of you who's been present here. And I'm looking forward to next Sunday's talk show again, and with an amazing guest next week too. So keep in tune, and lots keep coming on this page. And there's a breathing exercise challenge which is going on for 30 days. There's an interesting point of view challenge for 100 days, which is going 11:11 a.m. Be the Change page, Insta, where I'm live every day, and lots more. So keep in tune on this page, and thank you for visiting, and thank you.
Oh. And I hope to be in India again soon, so stay tuned.
Lisa, as soon as the COVID says bye-bye, we say bye.
Yeah.
We will have these in India for sure. That's my like. I love her having here.
Oh,
I'm personally vested in it.
yeah, yeah,
What happened
definitely. Oh,
to my team? Sonali, Ritu, Shivangi, and Parata. And how does it get any better? It wouldn't have been able to co-create unless you were not here supporting me. Thank you to each one of you from the depths of the heart, and thank you everybody who was here. Thank you, Lisa.
oh,
Love you all. Thank you.
love you. Bye.